Today finds me in the east central Adirondacks. Um, this is in the area around North Creek and Warrensburg, but not really near anything. This is a short but steep hike up Crane Mountain. As you'll see from the hike, there's a lot of cliffs along this mountain that make it real noticeable when you're looking at it from other areas. Short and steep, but if we do all the loops available here, we could get 4 or 5 miles. Got perfect fall weather, sunny and mild in the 70s. So it should make for some great views. And the fall colors are at their peak as well. So this Crane Mountain kind of sticks up by itself. It's got lots of open ledge on top and a natural lake on the top, or near the top. So you start at about 2,000 feet here, and the access road is gravel and washboarded in places, and unfortunately some of the washboarding is on a really steep section of that gravel road. So take your time coming up that hill. You don't want to hit those washboards going too fast and lose your control. But this is one of the more scenic hikes in this area, and actually has some wooden ladders you have to climb and some very steep sections, but a great view. So we got perfect weather and fall colors to boot. Yes, and this mountain is a geological dome. It's domed up with cliffs on all sides, and there aren't that many places where you could actually get a trail through this large dome of rock here. But just to my left here, or northwest from where I'm standing, there is a place where the trail goes up, and on the satellite view it looks like there is a forest, a narrow slot of forest that goes up the mountain, and the rest of the mountain on either side of that is just this bare rock and quite steep in places. So once you get to the top of these first sets of cliffs, there's a break, and then another part of the dome near the summit that requires you to use a ladder to get to the top. And plenty of boulders to climb over as you steeply climb Crane Mountain. We're starting to get some views. Looking southwest here. And these hillsides are just covered in beautiful trees that are turning gold and red, mostly sugar maple, red maple, some white ash, and some birches. And I always like to follow these little goat paths that go off the main trail. Usually they lead to something of interest, or else they wouldn't be here. So we're getting near the top of the main dome here, at least part way up it. And there's an overlook right here. I think the dome continues up a few hundred feet higher now that I get a better look, but there's an obvious lookout here where we can see all kinds of stuff. So yes, this is just part way up the dome here, and enough of a flat area to make a little unofficial trail to a great overlook, which is looking basically southeast to south to southwest and a little bit west. And most of this area is undeveloped, and most of it's in state ownership. Several different wilderness areas around here and wild forests. And in the flatter areas, there's also some houses and second homes and hunting camps. I've got the larger scale map of this area. We'll get it out when we get to the summit and start naming off some of these peaks if I can figure out which ones they are. There's a few obvious ones around here, but a lot of these other ones are either unnamed or hard to tell apart. And after 7/10 of a mile and about 1,000 feet of climbing, we have a choice to make. And there's a couple loops on top of this mountain, one loop on top and one that goes back down a different way. The red trail we started on continues to your right. We've got about 200 to 300 feet of climbing left, but there is a break in the climb on top of that first part of the dome. It flattens out and then goes up again. If you turn left, there's a beautiful mountain pond over here called Crane Mountain Pond. It's another 7/10 of a mile on a yellow blaze trail. This doesn't show the color of the trail blazes on this map, but trail 117 is what it's showing. I'm going to take that over to Crane Mountain Pond and then loop around the 1.2 miles back up to the summit of Crane Mountain. And once you get on the yellow trail, it's actually on contour and actually has to lose a little bit of elevation to get to Crane Mountain Pond. But the top of Crane Mountain here is red spruce and balsam fir and beautiful scenes and beautiful smells from the balsam fir. It's a very fragrant tree. It smells like you're walking through a Christmas tree farm. So after that really steep climb, our legs get a little bit of a rest here. And a nice place to eat lunch at that Crane Mountain Pond. And the easy walking on this yellow trail continues, and boy, there's some big trees back here. This yellow birch here has got to be 3 feet thick. And a tree that's known for curling and furling bark on the younger trees. Doesn't get that at all on the larger part of the tree. These are just plates, flaky plates, and if you look on the upper branches, you can still get that curling and furling. But look at the color of that, beautiful gold color. And this boulder here is covered in ferns. I've said this before on my videos, the low sun angle in the fall and in March and early April, if you get a day that's clear, makes for great lighting even at noontime. Nothing gets too overexposed. And that's what we got today, perfectly blue skies. And the yellow trail gently descends to the Crane Mountain Pond here, and at that point the trail to the left is blue blazed and the trail to the right, which I'm going to go back on, is red blazed. So the yellow trail is just a short 7/10 of a mile, pretty easy hiking, and all kinds of neat ledges and places to really enjoy the beauty of this pond. This is a natural pond. The water's crystal clear. And just a lot of times you have to hike a few more miles to get a view like this of a pond. This one is actually, not even 2 miles from the parking lot. And the fact it's on top of the mountain probably made it hard for people to put hunting camps and fishing camps on this pond. Or at least for now, it's undeveloped, and because this is state land, it probably will always be forever wild. And we took the blue trail just a couple tenths of a mile around the south end of Crane Mountain Pond. There were some ledges over here that looked pretty interesting. I'm going to turn back around and split off and take the red trail up to the summit now. So I was on the red trail, took the yellow trail down to the pond here, took the blue trail out to these rocks. And I'm going to actually retrace my steps right back this way. The yellow trail came from that direction down to the pond. Now we're going to take the red trail around this side of the pond, and then eventually it finds its way back up to the summit here. There's more views at the summit. And then the infamous ladders are the way you get back down those steeper sections with all that ledge. So we'll be careful on that. And look forward to the expansive views to be had from the summit of Crane Mountain. Well, as you come up from Crane Mountain Pond on the Red Trail, you think you're at the summit, you get a great view from a ledge, and you realize there's still more to come. Probably a quarter mile at least of open ledges with views to the west, southwest, and southeast. And what I just showed there was the where the fire tower used to be bolted into the rock here. So I knew I was at the summit if I found the remnants of the fire tower. And some of these mountains have the datum here from the U.S. Geological Survey, and this one does here too. It might even tell us the elevation. I don't believe it's on there though. So this is our final view. We've had this view several times today, looking southwest towards Indian Lake area. You can barely make out the landslides on the east side of Snowy Mountain, which is one of the largest mountains in that area. And then as we pan around, we've got Garnet Lake with a knob behind it called Blue Mountain. And we're going to pan around to the south here. And the peaks all kind of look the same as you go south. There's no pronounced mountain that I can recognize from this direction. But way off in this distance are the Green Mountains of Vermont, but they're just barely visible to me and not to the camera. We are looking southeast towards the Lake George area. And I'm sure on a very clear day you can see the Berkshires and even the Catskills. Well, this has been a great hike. I got to make my way down the infamous ladders. I'll probably record that for a second and then put the wraps on this hike when we get back down.